What's happening, great people? I want to welcome you to Revolutionary Research Roundtable, facilitated by yours truly, Dr. Rika. It's been a minute, been a couple of years. I know many of you might remember Revolutionary Rika and the critical sense making sessions from a few years ago. We are definitely getting back active, um, making sure we drop the gems and wisdoms that we gain in, through connections with others so we can share that with other people as well. So this is our first episode of Think About It Thursdays. Think About It Thursdays. And so for this episode one, um, we want to talk about the value of voice. Y'all know I'm a researcher, and one thing I always talk about is qualitative versus quantitative data. Definitely a fan of qualitative data, not to say there aren't cases for quantitative data, but I have a whole slew of gripes about the ways that quantitative data is used sometimes to mislead. I ain't gonna say it does not have value, because it does. A lot of the research I'm doing in my professional life definitely has quantitative components, but I do recognize there are some pieces to it, especially that p-value. Nobody still can't tell me what that 0.05 mean, but we use it, and that's how we calculate we're able to make the generalizations we're able to make. So I'm still trying to figure that out. Haven't done it, but hey, think about it. My thing is qualitative. Qualitative research is super powerful, and so I jumped all over the place. That is the theme for here, episode one. So my power word today is definitely qualitative research. I want to talk a little bit about what qualitative research are, what those methods are. We know that qualitative measurements provide invaluable insights into human experiences, perceptions, and narratives. UniversitySOPAC.com lets us know by employing these methods, such as interviews, focus groups, and observations, we can capture the rich, complex data that quantitative methods might miss. And so tonight, I ain't finna be super academic with you either, but I will say we wanted to just create space to talk a little bit about the power of it and how it makes the case for, certain advocacy for resources, for connections, for opportunities for all people. And I think just because, you might work in academia or something like that, it actually is helpful just in everyday life. And so if you haven't already done so, Revolutionary Rika, that's this page. We encourage you to subscribe. We encourage you to like the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share with your folks. And in true Dr. Rika fashion, we always kick off with the power word of the day, which I said it was qualitative data. Talked a little bit about it so far, but definitely wanted to talk a little bit about the different methods and you know the uh, the strategies that you can use to start to really dig into the context and the significance of certain data, and how that creates the case, or how we can make the case for the things that we need. And so, my Think About It Thursdays is just a space for us to kind of talk, share some ideas. We encourage you to get up in the chat. There are specific types of methods, qualitative methods that you use that you feel like are more valuable. Write it down in the chat, comment, get a conversation sparked. But what I learned from qualitative data a lot of times is that the thing about quantitative data, it generalizes across groups. Whereas we know each individual, even if you belong to a certain group, you ain't necessarily, y'all ain't alike. Y'all might think differently. Your strengths and your gifts is different. And so my thing is always that, we recognize that, and that's what qualitative does. It talks about the rich, diverse experiences within certain groups, even people who may seem so much alike, but the way that my thought, the ways that I think and understand, I process a little bit different. I think Those are the things that are important to me when I think about it. Um, there's a lot of books that talks about, the analysis, the techniques, the thematic analysis. Y'all know I love to analyze, looking at all the things, as much context as I can. And so this channel, these Think About It Thursdays, is for us to think outside the box, for us to actually get up under the surface. I like a lot of the clergy say, dive deep, stay down long, come up with much. Well, that's what these conversations on Thursdays are about, for us to really think about it. Like, think about it. How has your life been impacted by qualitative data? The stories that your family have passed on, the jewels and the wisdom that gets passed down through traditions, and uh, the stories that make it. Because sometimes people, if the wrong person get it, they ain't gonna repeat it. I try to repeat all them old stories the old folks used to tell us. Just was, it was solid. But Think About It Thursdays will be some little 20-minute, no more than 20 minutes for us to just get on and talk about the value of voice. You can't let nobody else tell your story. You have to tell it. And, we've been gifted with a lot of different ways to do so. Some people are fantastic storytellers. I mean, they'll have you, um, I think they say, I was watching something on YouTube about Fat Joe, and they say Fat Joe's a man. Them stories, you be like, okay, he tells some pretty good stories. Think about that uncle in your family that tell you, it'd be like he could have just gave you the significance, but he finna tell you all the things, right? Um, and those make for some of the best learning experiences. The other thing is interviews, and so I know episode 3. Um, I'm gonna have a guest on here, one-on-one with Dr.Rika next week. Not next week, the week after. So these come out every Thursday. This week is really about qualitative research, the importance, what I love about it. Y'all know my dissertation research was on how historically responsive literacy, which qualitative data, all the stories, the cases, the case studies, all the things, right? How that affirms and empowers Black girl identity, spaces for us to make critical sense, spaces for us to, you know, center not just our culture, but even our families, even our own experiences, space for us to speak truth to power in conversations. That's what it's about. It's my first episode. So y'all know I'm finna be developing it, but if there's something specific in on these Think About It Thursdays that you got that you think I should consider adding, as we talk about the ways that research can, impact the way we live, the things that we get, what we have access to, how we advocate for others, I encourage you to write it in the comments. Um, Send me a message. Interested in coming on and having conversations on how, qualitative research has helped you to capture the story of your family. If we don't write down our stories, guess what? They get lost every time somebody transitioned and ain't nobody wrote that down or recorded it, right? So I encourage you to write a book. All of us got a book in us. It may not be that book that sit down there and got 20 chapters in it. Might be a kid's book. Might help some young people based on some of the stuff you overcome as a child. It might be an audio book. So it might be some, little short snapshots with some QR codes to videos. Man, we got to think outside the box. And you got to recognize that people's attention span, not everybody, but a lot of them, ain't that long. So you can't be writing thinking, midnight, Sister Soldier. I love Sister Soldier. That girl can write. But that midnight, that one, I could not get through it. I could not get through it because I got to the point, I was like, that's too long, man. It was good. And I never put it down, but I did finally finish it. But it took me a while. But anyway, I said all that to say, we out here, we getting back active. We want to share, the things that we learning from around the world, from people that we've known, people that we don't know. It's just so much creativity and there's so many different ways to look at a situation and experience. So I invite you to bring your lens into the conversation. I invite you to share, the things that what is making you think of and think about. Think About It Thursdays is about all of us thinking about the situation and the issue on so many different levels. We tend to forget that, we just tend to forget that even within groups that seem so similar, there's so much diversity. The experiences I had might be a little different from you. You might have got to go do this thing and I never even done it, right? It might have impacted the way that you look at life, the way you move through life. I don't fool with the world like that, but I do try to, when I am out and I'm moving through the world, I do try to share nuggets, and I definitely try to pass on wisdom, especially the way that the people before us passed it on to us. And so, I just move through the world. I don't stop to talk. Now I catch you on the other side, but I ain't fooling around like that because there's a lot happening and it's easy to get sidetracked. But it's always good to have good conversation with people. And so if you don't write in the comments, you just liking, man, get the conversation going. We can always agree to disagree. We don't have to agree. Let's agree to disagree. Because you might, from based on your experience, you might respond to a situation totally different than I would. There might be some situations where we respond the same based on some of the things that have been similar in our along this journey. And so I am back in action. I encourage you to, check out the critical sense making sessions from a few years ago. That's when we first started. It was space where I was trying to make critical sense, like the things you go to, that the things that you overcome, the things that you go through in life, right? It is what gives us that the diversity in the ways that we respond and the ways that we show up and the ways that genius comes to the table, and it makes room for the other genius. Because if you really think about it, I could do a routine for the rest of my life, but am I making impact? Am I helping somebody? I, Thea just came in, so y'all hear in the background. We recording our first Think About It Thursdays. We're getting our YouTube back going, so I'm almost closing up. But super grateful to be in this space. Please hop in the comments. Please subscribe. Please like. Please let me know what else you want to, what are some of the other topics that you would love for us to discuss and think about and share insights about. I encourage you. I encourage you to share with your networks. The more of us on here that's talking in the comments and having those conversations, the richer the conversations will be. And so with that, I'm gonna close out our first episode of Think About It Thursdays. And I think about my days in the classroom. I always bring that in with me. I always like to close with head, heart, feet. Head, what did you learn? Heart, how do you feel about what you learned? And feet, what would you do with what you learned? And if you didn't learn anything, that's okay too. Drop some knowledge on the people in the comments section so that we can learn from you. We're always grateful to share space with solid people who are loving, compassionate, and empathetic to the needs of others. And if all minds are clear, may the Lord watch between me and thee while we are apart. Take it easy, be well, and enjoy your life. Until next week.